All right, welcome back to Blue by 90, presented by Mason Brew. I'm Justin, joined by Jack and Kailen as always. We're to the end of January here, and I'll be honest, I'm sipping on a tall glass of red wine because
Classy.
I know I'm classy, obviously, but it just kind of feels like everything with Michigan is falling apart around us. Do you guys feel the same? Because I'm just gonna keep drinking my wine, and whatever happens happens at this point.
You're such a miserable human.
I mean, it's been a tough weekend, right? We're
Oh
not like
man.
pumped about what's going on.
No, not pumped about what's going on. Hoped basketball would have played better in the second half yesterday. Um, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to stay positive vibes only. I got my boy Stafford playing in the playoffs right now, so I'm feeling pretty good. Short term memory. You got to have some short term memory.
Yeah, I mean, positive vibes only. Have you guys seen these NFL games today? They've been pretty exciting. So I'm gonna go with that as my positive. My
There
positive.
you go. There you go. We're recording this at halftime of the Niners Rams game. So we watched an incredible Chiefs Bengals game. I
Let's
tweeted it out
go.
a couple times, but like, thank God Joe Burrow wasn't an Ohio State quarterback because
Oh my
he is
god.
so fucking cool. He's the coolest human being on the planet.
him and Money Moody are right there, 1 and 2.
I agree. 1A, 1B situation there.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm so glad he didn't go to Ohio State. Like I can like happily root for him,
Right.
especially when it's like him beating Patrick Mahomes. Poor guy that he has to be just associated with his brother and his fiance, I guess.
They're married, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, they are
His
married.
wife, yeah.
Man,
But I agree.
guy.
That's a tough look. At what point does Pat Mahomes say like, "Hey guys, you're screwing up"? I'm like one of the most profitable human beings in the NFL, and you guys are screwing it all up for me.
He's like, hey guys, chill the fuck out. Just
Yeah,
like
honestly.
don't post on social media on game day. I think
Literally.
a lot of people would be so much happier.
Yeah. But Jackson Mahomes loves the spotlight, and it's like his wife has now become even just as bad. So I don't know, but wanted to talk about the Michigan State basketball game. Like you said, obviously they didn't play well. It didn't end well for us. Going back to the first half though, they were playing well. It was a neck and neck game. A 4-point game at halftime, and it felt like Michigan was, getting some breaks to go their way. They were playing hard, playing good defense, getting some good shots up. So, there was good stuff to come out of that game. It just obviously all came in the first half.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to like complain about this. I mean, Houston, I expected him or I wanted him to have a bigger game. Thought he might have had to have a bigger game for Michigan to stay in it. He only had 11 points. He was 1 of 3 from three. Devontae Jones didn't have a very good game. He was 2 of 7 from the field.
Well, and even when you look at like
The team shot 15% from three.
yeah, weren't they like 20, or they were like 3 of 29 or something like that?
3 of 19.
3 of 19 it was. Jesus, that's not good. That's
Mhm.
not good. But even like obviously Hunter put up 25 points, which is great, but he went 8 for 19 from the field. So you're shooting less than 50% from the field as a center who essentially backs down somebody to the rim for 75% of his shots. So even he, was not efficient. He obviously was 9 for 10 at the free throw line, which is awesome. But I think as well as he played, even it just didn't. It's not enough for Michigan. And so I think the biggest thing too there was, I believe, Michigan State at halftime. Michigan went into halftime. MSU went on a little run to go up 4, and then out of halftime, MSU went on a 14-3 run right away. when you're in the Breslin, they're gonna go nuts. You'll never come back from that ever.
Yeah, that kind of killed any sort of hope Michigan would have had to come back and win that game, because they would have had to make a push right away in the second half. And if you go down 14-3, like you said, at Breslin, I mean, it doesn't give you many opportunities. So, yeah, I don't know. Wasn't a great look. The biggest thing I noticed was one play in particular. And again, Dickinson had a great game, 25 points. Didn't shoot great from the field, but I mean, 25 points, 25 points. He just doesn't seem super comfortable with that right hand yet. Like there was times where they gave it to him. I think it was Gabe Brown or somebody was sitting on his right hip, and he had a wide open. If he went with his right, or even he could have had like a layup or something. It just doesn't seem like he's super comfortable going that way yet. But when he gets there, man, dude, he's gonna be a force.
Yeah, but we're all waiting for it, right?
I know it's annoying, but I'm just trying to stay positive, so I don't have much to say. There's not a whole lot to talk about for me.
It also seemed like they kind of got down early in that second half, and they just like became like desperately aggressive, where they were like, okay, and then they started forcing some things where they probably could have gone more conservative and tried to play good defense and kind of get back into the game that way. But like it kind of just backfired, and then they just like couldn't catch up, right? And part of that was their inability to get shots to drop as well.
Definitely, they like started scrambling pretty bad there. Once they realized like things weren't going their way, then all of a sudden they started turning the ball over, and they couldn't. That's what kept them in the game in the first half. Was MSU was turning the ball over, and Michigan was playing good D. Then it completely flipped. Michigan got back on their heels. They're turning the ball over. They're making just bad decisions. They're missing puppies. They missed a lot of layups too. So, the thing is, when you play in that environment, it can unravel really quickly. And we watched that happen, right? But even going back to Hunter, like he didn't score in the second half until 8 minutes left in the second half. So when your go-to guy doesn't score for 12 straight minutes coming out of halftime, that it's Michigan. They have these guys that are like, you're like, oh, I see spurts where that guy should be the go-to guy. Obviously, we've seen a ton of that from Hunter, but we've also seen it from other guys too, and then they just you just can't have your go-to guys go cold in that game. Even going to Eli Brooks, where was it? I'm trying to pull up what Eli Brooks did too, because it wasn't good either. Brooks was 3 for 11, and 1 for 4 from 3, and his 1-3 came late, I believe. So, I get it. Eli does a lot more than just score, but we need somebody like Eli who can go out and score. And so they just don't have the guys that can go in and take over a game, and it's really frustrating for sure, because it feels like they were kind of on the cusp, and then they just took a really big step back.
I'll disagree and say I'm going to disagree with the statement that you said they don't have the guys that can do it. They've got the guys that can do it. We've seen it happen the past few games, but it's just like it seems like not everybody is on the same page at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, because it seems like everybody has to hit on all cylinders for this team to be good. Right. And all the guys that would have breakout games seems to all have breakout games at the same time. And I mean, the biggest thing for Michigan, like all the stats are pretty similar with Michigan State for the entire game. It's just we didn't hit shots.
Yeah.
Don't hit shots, not going to win the game. So,
they went on like a 7-minute drought too at one point.
Yeah. I mean, that's not good. It's not going to help you. But I still feel just as good about this Michigan team as I did before this game. I think they'll still have they're still 10-8. I'm not going to worry about anything at this point. But I know we talked about it. If they did win this game, I'd feel really, really good about the rest of their season. But I still feel good about it. I'm not in panic mode.
I think you're crazy.
It's a good MSU team at Breslin. I mean, what do you expect?
I expect us not to lose by 15.
I mean, if you guys aren't hitting shots, that's going to happen.
I expect us to not shoot 15% from three. I'm sorry. That
right,
is
and
like,
that's so. I mean, basically, it's just like the same thing that's been all year: inconsistency.
well, to win basketball games, you have to make your shots. So
Right.
if you can't do that, then you're not a good basketball team. I don't know.
You need to make at least a third of your threes and at least half of your twos to be in the game. So
yeah, and guess what? MSU went. You do have to give it up to what they did in the second half and what they did in the game. They hit 50% from three. So it's tough to beat any team when they're shooting that well. No matter what. But like, even if Michigan's shooting, they're in this game if they do shoot 35% from three. So that's where like I'm frustrated. Shooting 35% from three is not asking too much. That is very average across the board. And when you have guys like Caleb Houston, like Eli Brooks, you have a fifth-year guy in Devontae Jones. Obviously, he's not like this great shooter, but I mean, you've got guys that have been around this team, been around the college basketball, and that's where I'm frustrated. Yeah, there are some young guys out there, but like, there's also some really seasoned vets that aren't playing well. So my question is like, what's missing? Is Juwan not coaching well? I think that's a question that also has to be asked right now.
you might be the only one asking it. I mean, I think if you said that on Twitter, you get slayed.
Probably everyone. I love Juwan as a person, 100%. I love him as like the head of the program, but I mean, there's definitely some doubt in my mind right now about in-game coaching and like development of these guys. Listen,
I'm having a tough time with this.
I know it's not positive vibes only. I get it, but like it's hard for me to watch that game against the in-state rival. I know that they're good. I understand that. But like it wasn't like they just went out and played so well that they were unbeatable on Saturday. I felt like Michigan very well could have played in that game. They just took a shit in the second half. And I just struggle watching a team like, I don't know. I just struggle to make an excuse for a lot of these guys. Like this is some like rebuild year to say, oh, they'll be good in the future. Like this was supposed to be the year. So then I'm going to be frustrated, right?
Was it supposed to be the year? I mean, look who they lost last year.
Preseason top 5.
What?
They're preseason top 5.
Remember when Michigan was preseason top 5 and we lost to App State at home in football?
Oh
preseason rankings don't mean dick.
Early 2000s.
I
understand,
but no, you look at who they lost: Franz Wagner, Sean D. Brown, Mike Smith, who was a solid point guard last year. Livers. I mean, they lost 4 of their starting 5 guys. I mean, what are you gonna do?
I mean, the thing is that every other coach out there,
our best players are freshmen. Why can't he can't have one down year?
I don't think – I think there's enough. There are enough pieces that this Michigan team – maybe they're not a top 10 team, but there are plenty of pieces for this team to not be 10-8. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. But it's a lot of the guys that we count on are young guys, man. It's growing pains.
There's just something missing. I don't know. Do you agree with that there's like something missing that –
yeah,
it feels like something's off, and I'm trying to pinpoint what it is.
Well, what it is, I mean, you said it earlier. It is veteran players aren't playing great. Devontae Jones is, when he's hot, he's great, but Brandon Johns super inconsistent. Eli Brooks, I expected him to be more of a scorer, this season after he had a better year last year. So I mean, with him and Johns not stepping up, like I said, we're counting on young guys, and we've said it a million times. Caleb Houston should be a senior in high school right now, but he's playing college basketball in one of the toughest conferences in the country, if not the toughest. Big Ten probably is the toughest for basketball in the country. And, I mean, that's just where I'm at with things right now. There's so much time in college basketball, so like for me, I don't panic like I would for football. There's always tournament time, and you can make a run. So I mean, I think it's just growing pains, man. I mean, they had a great 3-game stretch going into the Sparty game. We got another shot at Sparty, March sometime. I'm not worried about it. I don't think next time they play them, I don't think they're going to shoot 15% from 3 and 37 from the floor.
Yeah, I think they just kind of need to like put this game behind them and like just say like, all right, 1-game season kind of deal. Try to move forward 1 game at a time. Put a nice little streak together. Like Jack said, you get them again, but now you're at home. Like, you might be able to take a shot at them that way.
I appreciate the positive vibes. I appreciate it. I'm not on board, I'll be honest, but I appreciate you guys holding it down.
Oh man,
it's tough. I mean, it's just like I don't know. I don't know. I agree with a lot of things you guys are saying, but it's just frustrating when you get your ass kicked, right?
Yeah.
Frustrating to see that.
Yeah,
and frustrating to watch them down the stretch just have like zero answer.
know.
That's what I struggle with. But
and they're missing shots they should make, and they're I mean, for me, I'm just like it was a bad game. I just thought it was a bad game. Everybody was kind of off.
well, like how? Okay, this is my last part. Like, how many bad, quote unquote, bad games have they had this year? Like a lot. They've played poorly in a lot of games. So then at some point, it's not just one bad game. It's like this is a bad team, right? So that's all.
Average team.
Average. March 1st. Bet. So yeah, but hey, still a lot of ball to play. So we'll see. The other part of things that have gotten wild on social media today is the Jim Harbaugh saga freaking rolls on, and it's just a source fest, a report fest. It's insanity of guys that are Chicago radio guys apparently are now insiders for the Miami Dolphins. I just, and then there's, obvious, and then there's real reports of Jim Harbaugh actually going to an interview with the Vikings. That was confirmed, and he requested for he asked Michigan to do it and all this stuff. So there's real stuff out there. There's more reports out there. It's just there's just so much. Oh my God, it's too much. At this point, I'm just like, are you guys on the same boat as me? Where I'm like, at this point, I don't even care which way it happens. Just let it happen and let's move to the next whatever it is.
I mean, again, positive vibes only. This guy is still bringing on assistants. He's still recruiting. He's still coaching. Everybody needs to chill the fuck out. They just don't have anything else to worry about right now, so everybody's speculating, creating these rumors. As far as I'm concerned, Harbaugh is still the coach of the Michigan football team, and until John Bacon or anybody credible says anything, that's where my mind is. People complaining just have him go one way or the other. It's like, what? Why? He's the coach right now. The only thing you're doing is bringing negative vibes into the fan base. You, Ro, you, and all your Twitter friends.
Dude, the Vikings thing is for real, right? Like that's like Adam Schefter and like Michigan said that he actually was like interviewing with the Vikings. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is Adam Schefter credible anymore?
I think. Well, Tom Brady. He said Tom Brady was retiring, and Tom said maybe not. So
yeah, I don't know.
Man, we're to a world where even the source king is being second guessed.
I think it's a Michigan man thing, right? Like both Jim and Tom are just like, yeah, we just won't tell anybody.
Yeah, honestly.
I think the Miami thing is kind of bullshit though, because like Stephen Ross was like, I'm not going to be that guy, and now the rumor mill's swirling. Like, what the hell?
I don't know. I was told that there is some real buzz about the Dolphins with that.
Sources.
So I've got my own sources. Nothing's confirmed, but I think I could see. First of all, Stephen Ross is a businessman. listen, if for Stephen Ross it means better for his business that Jim Harbaugh is the head coach of his football team, he's not going to be like, oh wait, but I said that one thing that one time, so I can't do it. I can't go back on my word. He's going to be like, fuck it, I'm just going to hire him and then apologize for it later. That's what billionaire businessmen do all the time. So I don't think you can hold them to that. Also, with that, like, I think he really did say, like, I'm not going to be the one to go, take him from Michigan. But now, if Jim's like interested in the NFL and interviewing with the Vikings, all of a sudden, I think that is like a whole new deal where Stephen Ross is like, well, if you're interested, if it's you coming to me now and I'm not the bad guy anymore, we'll take you here.
I mean, yeah, if the name's already out in the water.
The previous comments was a wink and a nod. I'm not going to go get you.
Exactly.
But
yeah, but if you're already out there.
He worded it perfectly for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take that.
I don't know. It definitely seems to me like what we thought earlier was that these teams are all going after Jim Harbaugh and he's like, doesn't have interest. It seems to me like that narrative has really flipped. And now it's Jim Harbaugh having interest in a lot of these teams.
I mean, if you're not signing a contract, you still got your freedom to do whatever you want if you want to explore a little bit. I mean, if he hasn't signed a contract, he's still, like I said, he's still the head coach of Michigan. I'm not concerned.
Now, if he's out there looking and doing these interviews, do you think Michigan should be throwing like Mel Tucker money at him?
Well, I mean, I think he deserves like at least a James Franklin, right? I think Mel Tucker money is stupid. I think that it's that to me that's
Tuck coming. Clip
that for you. Clip that. I don't know. I think that the Mel Tucker money is an anomaly that like they, here's the thing. Mel Tucker getting that type of money, unless Mel Tucker goes out, and maybe he does, I have no idea. But unless he goes out and wins like 3 Big Ten championships in the next 7 years, then he's going to be considered a failure at the money he's making, right? That's the whole thing with Jim was he was making $7 million, which is like up there with Saban at the time, right? And so then if you are in the conversation money-wise with a Nick Saban, if you don't go out there and win your conference at the very least, then you're considered a failure. So I don't know. That whole money, that dollar amount, I think is ridiculous. But I can see what Jim's probably like, I've done more than what Mel Tucker has, even though he's 2-0 against Jim. But I can, he's probably like, why am I not worth a James Franklin or a Mel Tucker?
Could be. And they could also be having conversations, behind closed walls. So I don't know.
But don't you think if you were Ward, I mean, if I was Ward and I had any type of negotiation skills, I'd say, Jim, here's your offer. It's worth $8 million a year. You earned it. We're so proud of you. We're so thankful for everything you did. That offer expires in a week. Or, I wish you would have said this a month ago, right? And said, here's that offer. You can either take that offer or you can go explore your options in the NFL or whatever. And then if that doesn't work out, you still have this $4 million a year contract off. So if Ward wanted to play hardball, he could, but I do think he's being a little soft with letting this drag on and letting Jim, control the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, you're the AD, you're supposed to be calling the shots, but I don't know. I mean, if it's like a power move thing where he's like, if Jim's not going to come into me or whatever. I mean, I don't know. This is all speculation. I have no idea what the fuck's going on, but I don't know. It's what it is at this point.
Yeah. Who knows, right? Like the smoke will clear at the end. So I don't want to speculate too much.
Yeah, I also get frustrated too that like now we're about as late as you can get into the cycle, right? Every other college team has hired their head coach essentially, but I so then like what does Michigan do? They've got to go for probably an NFL guy, maybe like a Matt Rule, or then you have to go get a Matt Campbell or Luke Fickell who's taking a step up. I don't know, man. There's a lot that needs to happen if Jim Harbaugh is not the head coach of Michigan going into this next season. And I just don't know if they're prepared for that situation.
You don't think they would promote somebody from the inside?
I mean, in my head, Josh Gaddis, now that McDonald's gone, I think Josh Gaddis is the only person that's eligible for that even. And
Mike Hart?
What's that?
What about Mike Hart?
He hasn't even been a coordinator yet. I think you got to like
names out there.
I know. I like Mike Hart in the future. I think Mike Hart in the year 2026 would be a great head coach for the University of Michigan. But you have to be able to call plays and manage things on a coordinator level before you're going to get a head coaching job.
What they need to do is watch what I do on those sticks in Madden and hire me. I'll be the head coach.
Oh God. I can only, what would be your first order
as head coach?
Yeah, as head coach of the University of Michigan Wolverines.
Make sure our uniforms are intact.
Okay.
All blues, all maize. Come up with an alternate.
Maize top, blue bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be my number one thing.
I like that. I'm thinking, fireworks in the stadium, night games for every game in the first month of the year when it's nice out.
That'd be incredible.
No nooners, all 3:30s.
Yep.
Like that.
Wi-Fi in the big house.
Wi-Fi in the big house. Yep. We have our own tailgating spot right outside the stadium. That's like, VIP parking.
Let's get 2 tunnels. Let's get a visitors tunnel and a home tunnel. I'm tired of those things.
I like that. A retractable roof as well. Something that at least overhangs to keep the sound in, keep the noise in.
Need that.
Yeah.
Get one of those like video system things that you see in like hockey games where like the ice is like some huge graphic.
Ooh, I like that too. I like that a lot. I mean, I feel like we made a pretty good case at it right there.
Jack's calling the plays with his controller.
That'd be dope. That'd be so dope.
It would be tough. It would be tough for us to call plays and coach like after drinking 15 beers in the parking lot tailgating, though. That would be tough.
Yeah.
Makes the win that much better.
That's true. All right. Well, I think it is. You go back to what John Bacon says on Twitter. Nobody knows anything. I think there are some things that are happening here with Jim Harbaugh, and we'll see what. I agree with you to an extent. Like, I'm not here freaking out about every single report because they're all conflicting still and they're all weird. But it seems to be getting a little more real than it was before. That Jim Harbaugh may not be the coach of the 2022 Michigan Wolverines. So we'll see how that turns out. We'll see what Michigan basketball does. I do want to give a shout out to Michigan women's hoops. So Monday night they play. It's a top 10 matchup at home at Chrysler versus Indiana. So I might be heading there. It's going to be a sweet game, actually.
What time's the game? Monday night?
That's a good question. I'm assuming like 7, but I'd have to double check it. So,
okay.
But yeah, hey, we're kind of a women's basketball team and a women's gymnastics team. School, I mean, sorry, school. But that's where we're at right now. So, all right. Well, you can follow us at BlueBy90 on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, at Mason Brew on YouTube as well. If you're watching there, thanks for watching. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.